Hello, and welcome back to another wonderful episode of Metal Gear Solid University, where we're correct 80% of the time.
80% of the time.
We're not experts.
We're not.
But welcome back. Welcome to our series of 201 episodes. I think we are still recovering from Metal Gear Solid 2.
In a sense. So what better way to take a break than to delve into the world of Metal Gear Solid 2?
As you probably saw, the title of this episode is called The New York Mirror and the Shocking Conspiracy Behind Shadow Moses. I am going to be honest, I was a little drained preparing for this episode because, again, we were back into Metal Gear Solid 2.
No, honestly, like when we booted it up and then you just hear and I'm like, God damn it.
We're back.
Oh.
So to prepare for this episode, we, read through these two, I guess, books that are within the special options menu within Metal Gear Solid 2.
Yeah, one was like a book review, and then the other one was like, it's like a memoir and like a story of how a journalist got a hold of a banned book, more or less.
These items can be found within Metal Gear Solid 2, whether you play it, on the original game itself or through the Master Collection. But in the description for this episode, we're actually going to provide you with a game FAQ that has the two documents we're reading. So if you want to go look at that real quick, read that before listening to this, feel free. I think it'll probably be a good option if you want to kind of get the full scope of some of the things we talk about, because some things are a little odd.
Yeah, there are definitely a lot of cool little nuggets to dig up from these documents, but if you don't want to dust off your PlayStation or turn on your PC or whatever, just click the link. You're fine. Don't worry about it.
But yeah, before we jump in, Tom, what's new?
Well, much like everything in my life, as soon as I touch it, controversy arises.
Just don't get any new hobbies. I feel like that's the answer to your plight. Just don't do anything fun ever again.
Never gonna do anything new, nothing fun. I will just do this for the rest of my days.
Well, what are you talking about?
Well, to those who are listening who are not aware, I have recently been delving into the world of Warhammer 40K, in particular, because it's just the Warhammer.
Well, is Warhammer just a video game, or?
It's like a whole franchise, but there's Warhammer, which is like a medieval thing, and then Warhammer 40K, which is like sci-fi.
I see. Okay.
But that's irrelevant. Anyway, Games Workshop, who's like the lead company of this whole thing, recently retconned a particular faction in this game. They're called Custodes. And I know that there's probably people listening that are rolling their eyes because they've already heard this a million times before. But to those who don't know, Custodes are just basically big, cool dudes who guard the Emperor of Mankind. That's pretty much it.
Okay, solid.
They've only been written as men, but they recently retconned the lore to include women as well. And as expected, the internet just lost
some parts.
Yeah, some parts. I'm trying. You know what? I have to be better. Some very vocal people who need to touch grass lost their ever-loving minds, and it's people who don't understand the definition of a retcon. And let me tell you, and to those who are listening, we're all fans of Metal Gear, right? We know what a fucking retcon is. We know.
Cons.
We've been here.
Retcons.
We have, if any fan base knows what a retcon is, it's a Metal Gear Solid fan. This series has more holes than Swiss cheese.
Ooh.
Okay? If you don't count the retcons. Anyway, me being me, I go searching for internet drama. I delve into the Reddits because I'm a little goblin myself. And it's just like a bunch of internet warriors fighting each other. And to the Warhammer 40K subreddit, I give them a lot of credit because there's like a lot of like little weirdos out there going like, how could they allow women? And then just people are collectively like, dude, it's fine.
Yeah, like, is this your first time seeing a retcon?
It's like, dude, it's okay. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be fine. Just paint your models, play your game. It's gonna be cool. It's fine.
It's honestly, I don't want to go into a whole kind of discussion of Gamergate and women and anime and video games. I think what shocks me the most is, isn't that cool to have new people in your fan base?
No.
Isn't it cool that, like, maybe someone of a different gender or the gender that you're eyeing is involved in something you like?
No, it's not.
It's just shocking to me that something as simple as, like, adding that may pique someone's interest in the lore, and then, like, now you have a new participant who's, like, open to maybe even play with you. I never understood gatekeeping. I feel like it reminds me of when Megan Thee Stallion was cosplaying, and you had, again, a small subset of people who were very loud, who were like, she's just doing that to look cool, and she's just doing that for clout. For who? Obviously, you're not claiming her. So for whose clout?
I don't know. I don't know, man.
You know what I mean? If she's doing it to get your clout and you don't claim her, then your point is ruined. She's obviously doing it for herself.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't understand. Like, I understand gatekeeping a restaurant is cool. You don't want it to get packed. Gatekeeping certain things, but like, oh, this is my anime. This is my video game. It frustrates me so much.
Yeah, I mean, to bring it back to Metal Gear, when the Master Collection was released, I mean that was a whole other like little drama thing on its own, right? But there was also a lot of people that were frustrated of new fans that didn't know any of the little nuances of Metal Gear isms, so to speak, and I think it's just like a problem that the fan base has in recognizing that there are new fans coming in. Because to be fair, this series, I don't want to say it has been forgotten, because it definitely hasn't, but it's hard for a new fan to be initiated. And now that it's easier than ever, more people than ever are coming in.
All new fans, you are welcome here. We will be patient with you. Everyone should be patient with each other. And I think for the whole Warhammer 40K business, at the end of the day, like you said, paint your models, play a game, chill out.
It's going to be fine, man.
It's going to be fun. And this reminds me of like Fallout. We're watching the new Fallout series, which I like so far.
Yeah, it's been really cool.
It's just, again, I don't know. I never want to name these people that we see on Twitter and YouTube who have these stupid ass comments. I think I also want to like say there are more people like us than not. It's just a lot of people. The people who should be loud and vocal on Twitter, we're usually just chilling on the couch. Like, we're just laid back. And I think it's so easy to see all the negativity.
Yeah.
So I think that's sadly what we've been seeing, but we like the show.
I am really liking it so far. We didn't finish it yet. I think we're almost halfway done. And I'm really liking it. It is definitely a challenge to depict a show that is both like sarcastic and brutal and funny in some respects. And this show really captures those like weird Fallout moments that we've all had when we played these games. And it's good. It's
done really well.
It really captures that like. It sounds corny to say, but it captures that magic that you have when you encounter some weird thing in a lake, so to speak, and you're like, "What the hell is that thing?" And then like just people just going, "Oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck."
Yes, yeah, like no, it's cute.
Like, it sounds corny, but like the self monologues that they have in situations, I'm like, I've definitely done that. You know what I mean?
That was you behind the controller.
Like, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, please.
I don't want to do any spoilers. There's one thing that took me out of it, and maybe we'll talk about it in a couple of months. There was one particular moment that I was like, but it was more just like a character choice than anything about the story or the way the show looks.
I agree.
If you have a chance to watch it, I would say check it out. I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, me too.
And this is coming from someone who I've Never really played a Fallout game. I know that's kind of bad. I'm sorry, T.
It's okay. I can only say that if and when you choose to play a Fallout, you are in for a hell of a ride, and it's a lot of fun. And I can only wish to have that first experience again.
I know we have, I think, all of them on Steam. So
More or less, yeah.
maybe I'll
I
check.
don't think we have 4 on Steam. 4 is okay. A lot of people like to shit on 4, but it's fine. It's not the best, but it's fine.
I'll check it out. I'll definitely check it out, see what's up. Especially too, I feel like now my interest is peaked again from this. But is anything else going on? So is this Warhammer, Fallout we've been interested in? What else?
MGS Con sold out. Tickets sold out recently.
Yes. So if you didn't get your ticket, I think within the Discord, they've been saying digital tickets are still available, but something that you and I have to do, they're sending surveys out to everybody to see who's still planning on attending and not.
I see.
To free up some space.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
For those who didn't get it, keep an eye out. But for a convention to sell out, I don't think I've ever, like, that is wild. I remember like New York Comic Con back in the day, like those used to sell out, but like it's second year to sell out.
And I think it's a larger venue than before. Am I right?
I believe so. They're killing it.
Yeah,
they're killing it.
Yeah, they're doing a great job. I'm very happy for them.
I'm waiting for, like, I think the other day you were saying too, we're waiting for like more announcements or like kind of see the schedule of the day. I'm really excited. I know the voice actor for Otacon was just confirmed.
Yeah, Christopher Randolph.
So he was just confirmed, but I think it's gonna be a full house. I think we're gonna get the whole.
Oh, there is no reason for them not to come again. They, you could tell that they were not putting on an act when, like, all the voice actors were clearly enjoying themselves. The only way that I could say that people would not come again is if it's just like some schedule conflict or something, because everybody had such a good time. It's such a good vibe, like the whole day.
Honestly, not to say that it was weird, but to like really have it. It really felt like everyone was enjoying themselves the whole con. Even the guests. Usually, I'm stupid, but I'm always like, I feel bad for them. They're technically working. You got to be on, sign stuff. It looked like they were having a good time, even conversing among themselves. Yeah. So I'm like, damn, this year is going to be fantastic. So if you didn't buy your ticket, keep your eye out. We're like the unofficial cheerleaders, I feel like, of Metal Gear Solid Con. It was just so fun. Yeah. It was so good. Metal Gear Solid Con. Ooh, Silent Hill. Yes. That also, news of that, well, the most recent news is that they updated the look for James Sunderland. They changed the logo for Steam, and I'm pretty sure that means they changed his character model too, to make him look a little bit more like, I guess, the OGs.
Yeah, how he looked in the game.
Is that, I feel like it doesn't really look like how he looked. Maybe it's just updated graphics.
I mean, like, it's a pretty low poly PS2 model. But there's like a high res cutscene in the beginning of the game where James is looking in the mirror, and it's closer to what is originally depicted in the game. I think it is an improvement, and that's good. I will give that as a solid win for Konami. Good job. I'm still guarded.
I'm still guarded and very scared. And it's also interesting to do that so late in the game. Yeah. With like the games coming out, I think the end of this year.
Get out, really?
I think so. But like to like change a character model face so late in the game, I don't know. To me, it just makes me nervous.
I know, but it reminds me of a certain movie about a blue hedgehog. And I remember when Sonic's design was released, people freaked the fuck out.
It was really bad.
I'm not saying it wasn't bad. It was terrible.
It was really bad.
They went and they redesigned it, and it looked good. I really liked the new design.
And the movie came out to be amazing.
And you see, that's what I'm hoping on. And look, you can call me a fool. But
we'll
hear
quote
me
you
out.
in a couple of months. We'll quote you.
Feel free to quote me. But that tells me that there is at least somebody in a cubicle in the death camp that is Konami.
That's terrible.
I'm sorry. But like that just tells me that there is a cubicle of somebody that is listening, and it is a fool's hope. But I have a little bit of fool's hope for this game.
They're standing up for all of his fans.
There's someone there that might just give a shit, you know? Maybe this game can be good. Let's see, you know?
I'm again, Silent Hill 2 I think is one of our favorite games. You had a blast playing it. I've been watching it since it came out. Let's see.
Mm-hmm.
And what's sad too is that that's the only recent news for Silent Hill 2. We don't have a release date.
They're playing it very close to their chest.
I mean, we can wait and see.
We'll just have to see.
We'll wait and see. I mean, I know Silent Hill 2 and Delta, they've both been slated for 2024. We're already in spring. So I feel maybe not the holiday season, but like fall.
I could imagine maybe like since, Spoopy month, maybe they'll drop Silent Hill in October and then do Delta for the holiday season.
I can see that.
We'll have to see.
We'll have to
see. Never know.
Other than that, nothing else is really going on. I mean, we saw recently there was a Tokyo Rainbow Pride, so it was basically a festival to like show light and show support for like the LGBT community over there.
Mm-hmm.
Someone took pictures of corporations that were there. So Sega had a booth, which was really cute. Sony had a booth. They were giving out stickers and like there was merch. Everything looked super cute. You go to Kojima Productions and it was literally just like everybody else's like logo was like remade in a rainbow flag or a rainbow gradient, and it was just like black and white. Kojima Productions, like, we're here. You know what we are. Like, we're not changing shit. You know we're here. It just like contrasted against all the other colors. It was
I mean, to be fair, they did have like merch, and they had like this really cool like Pride themed Ludens logo T-shirt or long sleeve shirt, whatever it was. It looked cool.
Yeah, Ludens was the flag that they were holding. They made it a rainbow flag. So that honestly, like, if someone can get us that shirt.
Yeah, like it wasn't like the was it like the multiple bars, like the typical, like when you think of like a pride flag, it's like the bars of the colors.
Yeah.
This was more of like multiple gradients, and it looks so nice. Wow. It like
we texted a friend of ours and we were like, if you see this, please, for the love of God, it's so sick.
Please.
And they were giving out stickers too, and she was like, oh, who? She honestly, I love her so much because she was the same friend who helped us with our YouTube video for...
Yeah, our friend, Mocha Luca.
She helped us with understanding what was being said in Metal Gear Solid 2, like the Japanese cutscenes.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were just like, can you do this for us? And she, no questions. If I, like, she's like, I'll take a look for you guys. Never access, like, just so chill.
She's pretty dope. She's ride or die.
But if you see it on Twitter, it's pretty cute. The booths they had and the merch. Besides that, nothing else. You've been playing Princess Peach Showtime.
It's cute.
It's cute. They needed to put more work into it though.
Yeah, I find it so interesting that the game runs fine except for the loading screens. And I'm like, how the hell do you fuck up the frame rate on the loading screens?
No. If you're not going to play it yourself, go to YouTube and just watch a playthrough. The frame rate for not only the loading scenes, but certain levels, I don't understand why they... Tears of the Kingdom runs so smoothly, and you have this game coming out a few months ago, and it's...
Yeah.
It feels... I'm not gonna lie, it feels half-assed.
Yeah. It's very cute, but, like, this needed time in the oven. Like, it really did. I don't know what they were doing.
They didn't really put respect on Peach. I mean, I know you really like it because you've been cosplaying a bit.
Yeah, when we stream on Twitch, at least while we're playing this game, I've been putting on different outfits to match Peach, and it's been so much fun. That aside, I mean, the game, I give it like a solid, like, an enthusiastic 7.
Yes. It's solid.
It is a good game. If I got this as a gift, I wouldn't be mad at all. It's a lot of fun.
And it was cheaper than like any other priced game.
It was like $40. So it's more or less a fair deal. but I just wish it was a little bit more polished and a little bit more longer.
Yeah, because you're about done, and you've only been playing it for 2 streams, which is like 3 hours each.
Yeah.
So you're kind of coasting through it. T.
Yes.
If that's all, I think we're ready to talk about the game.
Oh, the game.
Metal Gear Solid 2 again. And more specifically, these book reviews we're about to do.
I love book reviews.
But you know what?
Yeah.
Time for a pop quiz.
Oh my God.
You forgot about pop quizzes, didn't you?
I did. I got sloppy.
We got 5 questions for you.
For me?
And if you don't answer them...
Why are you pointing a gun at me? There you go.
If you don't answer them, you'll see what happens. Time for the pop quiz.
Oh my God.
So T.
Uh-huh.
I know I just said I was going to ask you the pop quiz questions today.
Mm-hmm.
But do you have a preference? I know you were very nice and said, okay, but do you want to ask me the questions? Does it matter? Tit for tat?
It honestly does not matter for me at all. If you want to be the question dominator today, I will be the question dominator.
I'll be the question dominator today. As always, we have a series of questions. Today, we have 5 questions. Since we are speaking about Metal Gear Solid 2 books, I figured we should keep the questions within the same game.
Okay.
So these are 5 questions from Metal Gear Solid 2. I expect you to score 100%. Mm-hmm. And none of these are trick questions. I'm just going to say that out front.
Oh, none of these are trick questions?
None of them.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Question number 1.
Uh-huh.
How long was Raiden's codec call with Colonel while Saldus was waiting like a bitch?
Well, for those who don't know, I made a YouTube video that depicted this very scenario. It's Solidus waiting in real time while Raiden is having his mind-bending codec conversation with the AI kernel. It's rounded up. It's about 13 minutes long.
You are correct.
Yeah,
that's a great video. Some people might call it a YouTube poop. Do you remember YouTube poops?
I do. I'm happy that I contributed a little bit of YouTube poop.
Question number 2. In this game, Metal Gear Solid 2, we learned that 2 important events happened on the same date. What was that date, and what were the events?
Okay. Well, the important date was April 30th. That date is important because that is Rose and Raiden's anniversary, or when they first met. And it's also George Washington taking his oath of office as the first president of the United States.
Correct. Which one is more important?
Oh, Rose and Raiden.
Okay, that's also correct.
Mike, come on.
Question number 3. What does the S3 plan really stand for? You know, during our summary of the series, there were about 3 different potential names for it. It was I think it was either 2 or 3. But right at the end, I think it's during the Colonel AI speech, we get the actual breakdown of what S3 means. What is it, T?
S3 stands for well, I'll say it does not stand for Solid Snake Simulation. That was a lie. But it does stand for Selection for Societal Sanity.
You are correct.
Ooh.
Almost there. Over halfway done.
Cool.
Question number 4. What were Solidus' last words?
Good work, Jack. But this is where it gets interesting.
Is that really his last? That must be right before the battle starts?
That's midway through the fight.
Right, because when you beat him, well, correct?
Kind of. And then he does like these little things like, over here. Yeah. Like, does that count?
That kind of counts. But then also, we have added...
I'm also wrong, aren't I?
In a sense, the last cutscene where we see Solidus fall off and land in front of George Washington's statue.
Mhm.
Right before he falls off, we see him mouth something to Raiden. But it is not in any subtitles. We don't know what is said. Raiden never mentions it. His last words are lost.
Solidus's biggest fear. That's very symbolic.
It's very, and I feel some pity for him.
A little bit. So I guess nobody will really ever know Solidus's last words. If you have any idea on what they might be, as the listener, feel free to email us at itstknm@gmail.com. It's tknm@gmail.com.
What's funny, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I don't even think we introduced ourselves in the beginning of this episode. I feel like we need to make a little blurb.
Our last episode was the get to know us. It's fresh in their minds. It's fine.
But if someone new is coming here, they're like, who the fuck is talking?
Metal Gear fans.
Metal Gear fans.
We are Metal Gear fans.
Question number 5.
All right.
What information do we learn about the Patriots at the end of the game?
We learn that the Patriots are dead. All of them.
All of them?
They're all dead.
How long have they been dead for?
It sounded a little bit like Christopher Walken. They're all dead. The Patriots, they're dead.
I feel like he would be part of the Patriots.
They've all been dead. Like Muad'Dib, they killed me along with the Patriots for the spice. I'm sorry.
I saw you zone out when you did the impression.
I get my eyes were locked in to Christopher Walken. They've also been dead for 100 years.
See, I feel like the Patriots that was the Winter Soldier thing. It just locked you in.
Christopher Walken is one of the code words
for the Winter Soldier activation for you.
I just need like 17 other activation codes, and then it become activated.
Do you become the Winter Soldier?
I think so. To do what? I don't know, but...
Oh my god, speaking of the Winter Soldier, he kind of looks like...
Christopher Walken?
No, what was the Metal Gear Solid connection to it? Weren't we talking about that? Like, he kind of looks... Was it the arm missing, or was it the...
Oh, yeah.
Wasn't like a weird connection we saw?
Yeah,
or we forced?
the Winter Soldier has like a weird connection to Venom Snake. Whereas
Venom Snake, that's what it was.
Whereas they're like completely mind-controlled soldiers with a missing arm, and they have like a man lost in time, a man lost in identity, and that sort of thing.
That's what it was. Thank you. That was correct.
Cool.
And that was it for the pop quiz.
How did I do?
I you know what? I'd give you the 5 out of 5.
Thank you. Did my Christopher Walken impression put it over the top?
That's exactly what I was looking for.
That's amazing.
Great job.
Thank you.
And I bet the listeners got 5 out of 5 as well.
Thanks, guys.
As Tom said, you could email us at itstkandm@gmail.com. That is itstkandm@gmail.com for maybe your pop quiz results, any questions, comments, suggestions. We did get a suggestion for a future episode. I can say it out loud.
Oh.
But they were essentially saying we should discuss the one-word description for each game in the series. Like one's meme, one's I forgot the others.
Oh, and discuss like the meanings behind those one words. That's cool. I dig it.
So whoever that was, we'll probably do it in the future, and I will give you a proper shout out. But thank you for emailing us.
Yeah, we most likely have it like starred and saved, so we'll give you a proper shout out when we get to it.
But T, are you ready?
Yeah.
Let's dive in to the episode. So like we said earlier, today's episode is going to focus solely on 2 documents, the New York Mirror and the shocking conspiracy behind Shadow Moses.
Yeah, these 2 are bonus features in Metal Gear Solid 2. You can access them in the special menu, and then you click on previous story. Should be all there. We'll also have a link. We said this earlier, but we'll have the link down below if you want to read it, and then listen to what we have to say. You want to read along, or whatever.
Yeah, I would highly recommend checking it out in general. I think something that we found interesting was it was kind of a telling of what a layperson during that time was experiencing and feeling.
It really lets you see the window outside of these fantastical events. because we're always in like us as the audience, we're always in the know. But if we existed in the Metal Gear Solid universe, we wouldn't know anything. Like you'd hear a rumor here and there, but it wouldn't be anything more than like a conspiracy theory, you know?
And I think I like that viewpoint because I think even separate from Metal Gear, when you're playing a story, you're the hero, you're the person like a isekai, like you're plucked out of your normal life into this fantastic. Like you're the main character. So these two documents are from people who we'll never see again. We'll just say that now. We'll never see them again. Mm-hmm. They're just a journalist and a writer. Mm-hmm. And to see kind of what they think about like Shadow Moses and what they think about Solid Snake, it's kind of cool to see like our hero viewed in someone's eyes like our own. Mm-hmm. And definitely I would say check it out, whether it's before or after you listen to this. So the New York Mirror is actually a newspaper. It looks like when you look at this on like this document, it's a newspaper clipping we have access to.
Yeah, it looks like it's like a parody of like the New York Times or Washington Post, something like that, you know?
I did Google it real quick, and there was a New York Mirror, but it was back in like the 1830s, 1840s.
You think that was like a reference on purpose, or do you think it's a coincidence?
I'm going to be honest, after Metal Gear Solid 2, I feel like everything connects. My mind, I feel like, is rewired in a terrible way. Because there was stuff that when I was reading these two documents, I was making connections that I'm like, they make sense and they make no sense.
Yeah, we got a lot of conspiracy brain from this game. We were playing this game right around the time where AI was really getting into the conversation, and we're like, how our hobby and our life is merging in a way that I never thought that it would.
No, and then my mind was like, was this on purpose? Were we meant to find this?
Are we the main characters?
Okay, wait, sorry. Back to the game.
All
so
right.
the New York Mirror, again, it's a newspaper. And essentially what we're reading is a book column within that newspaper. This book column is by, I guess, author or writer George Franklin. It feels like this is his book column. And he specifically in this clipping reviewed Nastasha Romanenko's book, In the Darkness of Shadow Moses, The Unofficial Truth. So we have this mainstream newspaper reviewing Nastasha's like
book,
like a expose.
Yeah.
So in his column, in his book review column, All Booked Up, it's called, he basically starts off a review of what happened in Metal Gear Solid 1. It sounds like her book is a retelling of what actually happened.
Yeah. It these things kind of like operate on like two levels, where it lets players know who haven't played the first game the plot of the first game, and then also kind of layering it in a way that almost kind of world builds, where you get a chance to see what like a book critic or a book reviewer would have to say at the time.
Yeah, so for example, George Franklin, he compares Shadow Moses to the grassy knoll or Roswell. They're already going like, okay, we're dropping into some real conspiratorial.
Yeah, get your tinfoil hats on.
Shadow Moses, we thought it was one thing. It's actually a much larger kind of.
Yeah, I mean, for those who are uninitiated in conspiracy, the grassy knoll was the place where people highly suspect were the second shooter for John F. I'm not saying that there was officially, where people say that the second shooter that shot John F. Kennedy was hiding. So like, there was what was it? Lee Harvey Oswald.
There was like another person, right?
Yeah, there was a second guy or girl, whoever. And then the second one, Roswell, that's the place for Area 51.
Okay.
So bouncing off of the conspiracy aspect, the official history that is like in the world of Metal Gear, your average Joe knows that the Shadow Moses incident was the work of a radical right-wing group, and their demand was a release of group members that were incarcerated in federal penitentiaries.
And essentially, this commando unit, I imagine a SEAL Team 6 type, came in and resolved the issue. So it was just some like, oh, there's a little maybe terrorist action happening, and the US cleared it up real quick.
Yeah.
That's it. Story closed. And so you have this book coming out that kind of is revealing the truth that it was a massive cover up. And in her book, Nastasha also releases to the general public that the US Army is testing Metal Gear Rex. She says that not only that, but a member of Foxhound is connected to this like exiled Russian militia group, so Ocelot and Colonel Galukovich, and that there are many different parts of the government kind of like fighting each other and like competing for control. And again, you have this book kind of explaining that the regular person in this world, it was just like, oh, terrorist incident, that's cleared. And then, life moved on. So this is like big time conspiracy stuff that she just released.
Yeah, it's like the equivalent of somebody confirming someone in the grassy knoll.
Yeah, I'm trying to think like a what would happen now that it would be like as significant. Maybe like the moon landing.
Oh, if the moon landing was confirmed to be fake?
No, I think maybe something bigger.
If the CIA killed Kennedy.
Oh my.
If that came out.
Yes. You know what?
That would rock the fucking planet.
And I feel like it's on this level though. Metal Gear Rex. Fucking cool ass Metal Gear.
Oh yeah.
It's a nuclear warhead.
It's a walking stealth missile launcher.
That like is unconceivable or inconceivable to the general population. Like this is expensive and like really developed like weapon of mass destruction.
How would you feel if it came out that we were secretly building more or less a Gundam that actually like worked?
Imagine you read in the New York Times one day, like, oh, did you read that book? Apparently the Pentagon has a Gundam. And
it's like, oh, what, like a Boston Dynamics? It's like, nah, man, like a Gundam. They have a Gundam.
They got someone suited up. And it's interesting, right? Because I feel like for this to be released in a newspaper, it's revealing the truth, but I don't know, like, how serious it's being taken. Like, to have this kind of book be in a small newspaper column of a book review, I'm trying to think of, like, the book review section of, like, the New York Times. Like, I think it's a couple of pages, but, like, it's on the front page.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's kind of like, I wonder if George Franklin is kind of like, he's only writing this because it's popular now, people are talking about it, or if he's just kind of like, yeah, she's exposing it, but maybe I don't know how credible she is.
It's a fun read. Yeah.
I'm kind of getting that vibe, especially with like all the stuff that he's stating is.
It's a critique on what the game is talking about, where like all it takes is just one little message to get out there, and it's there forever. Like all it takes is one little review of this book in a newspaper, and people could look it up online whenever, wherever.
I guess that's the point, right? That like it doesn't matter if this person is taking seriously or not. It's out in the open.
Yeah.
That's kind of what the Patriots were really worried about this
the
entire game.
This exact scenario is what they're trying to control, because this is not even the book. This is a review of the book. So it's already spreading. It's a review of a book in a newspaper that is meant to be distributed among potentially millions of people to tell people what is going on. It's getting information that is unfiltered and uncontrolled out into the public.
And ideally, the Patriots and the government would have had an end at that, like, terrorist group, our people got them. Like, ideally, it would have ended there. So Nastasha really threw in kind of like a whole mess into the situation. What I thought was interesting, and George Franklin in his review explains, Nastasha also reveals the names of the team members. Like she names the Metal Gear. She names Solid Snake. She names Mei Ling and Colonel, which I was like, I know he's tight.
Yeah, no, It's like, dude, did you have to attach my name?
Like his government, like his full
My
name is
full
in
my full government name. You put in there. Fuck you, Nastasha.
Colonel. His name is not. I mean,
His name's Roy.
Roy Campbell, and that's not like a pseudonym or a fake name, right?
No, that's his name.
So
Roy Campbell. That's him.
I guess maybe to her, and we haven't read the book yet, and we're going to. It'll be in the next episode. We're gonna do a deep dive. It's about 400 pages, I think.
That'd be cool. It's gonna be great.
She probably is so frustrated or angry, I can imagine, just through to the events. So I can imagine she's like fucking Mei Ling, Solid Snake. Solid Snake wins though because that's his code name.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of wins. A side note, we learned Mei Ling was maybe a teenager. That's what the book. It's interesting.
Yeah, like supposedly a teenager. It was in parentheses. I don't know. I see that as like typical, like almost like a trope. You know, like a technical genius.
Kid.
We just got her out of MIT. She's 19. You should have seen her at the science fair. She was incredible. You know, like
I see this the kid genius, right?
like big STEM energy. You know, like what was
Well, I guess you have EE too.
Yeah, EE. They're the same way.
Sunny eventually.
And then even outside of Metal Gear, what was was it Black Panther? It was the second Black Panther movie.
Oh, his sister.
No, well, his sister too, but that other girl
who was in college who built the yes.
I feel like that's like a trope almost, like kid genius.
Okay, it was just so interesting because I saw that and I never thought to think she was a child. You know, it was just adding a little bit more nuggets to my internal Metal Gear world.
Mm-hmm.
But essentially, what's his name? George Franklin states that I feel like this is one thing too. The Nastasha releases this book, right?
Mm-hmm.
The U.S. could either ignore it or address it. The U.S. Army releases a statement denouncing the book as a complete fabrication.
Okay. They could have just let it be alone.
Exactly. What was the point of them doing that? I'm thinking maybe in the world, it's catching on.
Yeah. Like it's catching so much wind that you're forced to make a statement.
It's not something you can just see some stupid person in a forum spouting conspiracies or some like weird TikTok account. Like it's catching enough people that US is like when I feel like did the government really comment? Remember back in the day when we used to have Facebook groups and events? Mm-hmm. When the people stormed, there was like an event. Let's all storm Area 51 doing the Naruto run.
Yeah.
Did the US Army actually comment?
They did.
So
No, they did. Like, I don't know how seriously they took it, but like the military came out and they were like, you're not going to want to do that.
They can't stop all of us.
And the US Army was like, we can. Don't do it.
What's funny is I feel like I look at our analytics. Some people here might have been too young to know what that event was.
Are you? It wasn't that long ago, was it?
I think it was.
Like I know it was years ago, but like
I think it was before I met you.
No way, no.
Okay.
I refuse to believe that the Naruto Run Area 51 event. I think that was like 2017, 2018.
Was that? No, that can't be it. Wait,
Yeah, 2019.
That was that recent?
Yes.
They can't stop all of us. 2019. Okay, it felt so much longer. Damn, that was right before COVID. 2019.
Yeah. They can't stop all of us.
So, okay, sorry, forgive me. It felt so much like longer ago.
Well, you know, the weirdest thing happened shortly after
yeah,
that.
my sense of time.
Our sense of time is warped at this point.
But essentially, think about that event. I remember on Facebook, it got a lot of people. There was like I think 1 million who had confirmed they were going. There
was a lot of news coverage about it. I remember that there were like simulations that people were talking. Like, that they were saying like, okay, if 1 million people were to literally show up and run straight through into Area 51, could they do it? And they were like, okay, If the U.S. military was bloodlusted.
Oh, not that subreddit. Oh no.
I know, I'm a heavy redditor. I'm sorry, people. If the U.S. military was about it, taking it seriously, like no one's gonna get in, they'd do it. They'd probably be able to do it if
the U.S. was being kind, but if a million people were storming this really best kept secret, this really heavily like policed area, they let out a warning and people didn't do it.
Mhm.
But to segue in a great way back to basically this book, I feel like the U.S. Army's releasing that statement because there's enough fervor around it. Nastasha has caused enough of a stir that they're like, look, let's just denounce it and end it there. And so I think between the U.S. Army denouncing it, George states that there's a lot of eyewitness accounts that keep popping up on the internet that like kind of like
Interesting.
corroborate her story. Apparently her book is super popular in parts of those two things. And I think, you know, the fact too that this came out in 2007, so Shadow Moses took place in 2005. This book apparently came out in 2007. I think the fact that it was still so recent, you know, to come out 2 years later after this story and be like, actually, I think it's still in people's minds.
Yeah, it strikes while the iron's hot. Because, I mean, even though they swept it under the rug, even the cover story is pretty hot. Like, imagine if we're hanging out, right? You, me, and the listener, we're all hanging out together. And tomorrow we find out that SEAL Team 6 is working with North Korea.
Ooh.
And like SEAL Team 6 is like working with
with them
to try to overthrow the United States. That would be front page news everywhere. And that would, like, a lot of people would be talking about it. But like at the end of the day, you know, it's not the end of the world, but like that's a big deal.
And I think to this like point, you'd have things that don't normally talk about it. The book review.
Yeah.
Like, you know, that person's reading like nonfiction or fiction books like this. Now they're like, let's read this story of someone who was there. And there's a Metal Gear. Like, you know, you have people who usually wouldn't involve themselves. Nastasha's kind of a whistleblower.
She is, yeah. She's a lot like Edward Snowden in that way.
Ooh, big connection.
Right?
How so, T?
Well, you know, for those who are not so in the know, Edward Snowden basically whistle blew against the NSA, CIA, all that stuff, against mass government surveillance. So more or less, he's basically the guy that told everybody, hey, the government is like literally listening to you.
They say they're not. They are.
They are. They're all collecting everything. Okay. They're not like literally listening, but like they're collecting data in a way where if they wanted to like look into you, they could. And he ran away because the United States was like, we would like to talk to you in this room, Edward Snowden. Just please step in here just real quick. And Mr. Snowden was like, nah, I'm out. And then he left the country.
I mean, wish him all the safety. I mean, I feel like I should know much more about what he's done. I feel like I really need to like read up on it. I'm not too familiar, so I can't say much, but I would agree that she's definitely she's on his level. Like, I hope
100%.
Wherever she is in this world, she needs to either leave or hide.
Oh,
I don't even think hide, just leave.
Do either. You can't go back to your normal life.
Because we already know what they're trying to do to Snake. Like, he has been labeled a terrorist. We know that from, like, 2. Labeled a terrorist. Everyone is after him, trying to get him. So...
Oh, my God. Can you imagine just being Solid Snake out in the world? And you're like, yo, is that Solid Snake? And you're like, fuck.
He has the same outfit, the bandana. It's like, he didn't even try.
I should have changed.
But, I mean, I feel like for Nastasha, like... for her to expose it, I feel like she must have been so angry after the events. I don't think we see her after Metal Gear Solid 1, right?
No. I mean, she's mentioned in 2. She's not in 4.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
I don't know where she is. Maybe she's in hiding. Maybe she's hiding really well.
I hope she's hiding really well. I hope she's just gone because to kind of expose something like that. I mean, I think about kind of like imagine something that was again a part of history, not contested, and years down the line, it's kind of revealed that like the U.S. government was lying to you. Like imagine your first thought is, what else are they lying about? You know, it kind of gives.
Because when there's one, there's definitely another one.
I was telling you about the Tuskegee syphilis study.
Yeah, I just learned about this today.
So essentially, for those who don't know, we only know about the Tuskegee syphilis study because of a whistleblower who's unnamed still. What had happened was the U.S. What was it? I know it was the CDC, and I think it was. Oh my God, I want to give you the correct name, everybody. But please Google it. Like check it out because it's just really a wild part of our history. The Public Health Service. So government organizations did this study on African American men. They got in like 600 men. Mm-hmm. I think about 300 of them, 400 had syphilis. And what they told everybody was like, we're just gonna pay for your medical care and we're gonna pay for any kind of concerns you have. They didn't tell them they had syphilis.
Wow.
This study, I guess, was just to gather information about their health. That's what they told the participants.
Mm-hmm.
What they were doing was actually studying them for the next 40 years.
40 years.
Just surveying them.
With syphilis.
Because what they wanted to know what would happen if someone with syphilis had it for numerous years. Mm-hmm. And so they knew it. And, you know, what they would tell clients was like, oh, you're feeling sick. Oh, maybe it's just that you have bad blood. Like, that was a term back in the day. Like, oh, if you're sick, you have bad blood. Mm-hmm. They were like, oh, here's these pills. It might make you feel better. Placebo. Mind you, there was also a cure for syphilis. And so they were just like, let's see what happens.
That's just so messed up.
Look it up.
That's so messed up.
We literally we would not have known about this if that whistleblower didn't come out. And that whistleblower came out in 1972. That's pretty recent.
Yeah.
So
that is very recent. I think that was around the time of Peace Walker. All right.
It was?
I think around the same time.
Oh my.
I think it was 1972.
Jeez. But I mean, I think it just really credits the strength of Nastasha to put herself in this position. Like, kind of when I was reading this book review, I was more so concerned with her. This book review was whatever. It was kind of just cool to see, like, you know, you can tell everyone's talking about it.
Yeah.
But it really made me worry for her because we don't know where she is. And the fact that it's apparent everyone has it on their mind, she's not safe. Mm-hmm. She is definitely...
Yeah, she needs to run away. Wherever she is, she needs to move consistently.
But the New York Mirror, I think it was cool to have this included. Do you think this is essentially just like to build the world up, right? Like, I mean, the chances of reading this before playing the game, I feel like are low.
Like it's like 1%.
So I think this just adds to kind of like, I think you said this earlier, it kind of is like a summary of what happened in the first game for those who didn't play Metal Gear Solid 1. Mm-hmm. And then I think 2, it's just kind of to show what kind of, I think, add to the severity of like how important and dangerous the internet is. You know, you have this expose and it's lost in the internet now. Anybody can get it.
Anybody can get it. Yeah. Especially like if you read it after playing the game, you really get a sense of, oh, this is like information they didn't want out there. And after you finish reading the New York Mirror article, a new thing pops up.
Oh yeah, we didn't even explain how to get this. Like, so can you explain kind of like how these documents are structured?
Yeah, it's actually done in like a really interesting way, where you go into the menu where it says previous story, and it just says the New York Mirror, and you go in and it's 10 pages, and you're like, oh, this is interesting. And you flip through it, and you're like, this is an interesting read, and it's a decent summary of the last game.
Cool.
That's
Thanks.
pretty cool. And then you end it, and then something new pops up, and it's The Shocking Conspiracy behind Shadow Moses. And you're like, that wasn't there before.
I just thought about something.
What?
Can I say it now or should I wait till later?
No, go for it. What?
The path that these documents become available are the path of someone searching on their own.
Wow, you kind of blew my mind.
The book review, think about some random ass person.
Yeah.
You open the New York Mirror and you're like, oh, it's a new book review from my favorite writer, George Franklin.
Uh-huh.
Oh, he's talking about In the Darkness of Shadow Moses. I remember Shadow Moses, the unofficial. You read it? Huh. You go online and you Google Shadow Moses. What's this? The shocking conspiracy. Then you read this guy's stuff.
And you're like, oh, yeah, this is the guy that published it. Or not published it, that released it. Interesting. What's his story? And then you're like, what?
And then you go and find the actual
book itself.
To me, I'm thinking, like you just described, you can't access any of them. You can't access them at any time. You have to read the review first, then the shocking conspiracy behind Shadow Moses, and then you get access to Nastasha's book.
Yeah, and they don't activate by just like clicking into it and then clicking out of it. You have to complete it. So you have to like actually get to the last page of the document to unlock the next one.
I think that was intentional. To kind of like mirror the path of someone searching on their own.
Honestly, I think you're right there. That does seem like the intended message there.
I'm telling you, my mind is warped differently now because I made that connection, which I feel cool, and then later on, when we did talk about this book, I made a connection that makes no sense, but to me it does.
No, and that's the beauty of conspiracy theories.
That's not the beauty. It's just you not send me down.
No, this is the beauty of it. This is why people love conspiracy theorists. Look, there is dangerous and dumb conspiracy theorists out there. But then there's just fun. There's fun ones.
What's your favorite fun? I know my favorite that you make fun of me for.
Oh, yeah.
I don't really believe it, but this is the way I protect myself.
Okay.
I don't believe it, but if it were to be true, then I feel vindicated.
Okay.
The moon landing. I feel like if they were to come out and say that it was filmed just to like beat Russia, it would make sense.
All right. Okay.
I don't believe it though. What's your favorite conspiracy?
Oh, that Justin Trudeau's Fidel Castro's son.
Oh my god.
That's my favorite one.
That's funny. I mean, and that one's funny too because that man has brown nipples. So we're like, wait a minute. Like, what white man has brown nipples?
Exactly. And if you put a picture of young Justin Trudeau in front of a young Fidel Castro, I don't know, man.
We sound like dumb Americans.
I know.
I love it.
I know. Well, look, not just dumb Americans, just dumb.
Just dumb.
We're just dumb. We're just two dumb people talking about brown nipples. He's like, you see that his nipples are brown, right?
He's not supposed to have brown nipples.
He's a white dude. He's supposed to have pink pepperoni looking nipples. You know what I'm talking about? You know?
He got the milk duds.
I don't know why I'm talking like this. Anyway.
You want to talk about someone else dumb? Mr. Gary McGolden?
Yo, this man is a freak.
So, okay. So the next book in this saga is called The Shocking Conspiracy Behind Shadow Moses by Gary McGolden.
Gary? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
Mr. McGolden is such a character. They are... Okay. It is almost a crime how little they are represented in this series.
Like, yes, like he should be a well-known figure because whoever wrote this this book is hilarious. If you're gonna read one thing, read this one.
It's genuinely well written and it's very funny.
We chuckled actually quite a bit reading this. It was like a couple 100 pages?
Yeah.
No, 129, I think.
129 pages. And like for those thinking like, oh, that's a lot of pages for just some not necessarily. Like it's short blurbs. If it was actually going to be like a book, I'd say it'd be like maybe like 20.
I was going to say like 60 because it's about
60 pages, you think?
It's about half this like the blurb that we see on the screen is about half the size of like a actual book, it feels like.
Oh, okay.
So I would say like maybe you're right, 20, 30.
20, 30, maybe 40 put if we're
How about 50?
how about maybe like 105? A healthy 105
It's
pages.
a very quick read.
Yeah.
And again, it goes by very smoothly because it's just well written. It's actually really well written. It was very easily visualized what this man was doing, what he was saying. It's an account of basically it's this man's document of him receiving Nastasha's book through the mail, and then he goes on his own journey to discover and uncover the truth.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, you're probably wondering, who the hell is Gary McGolden? Gary McGolden is a conspiracy theorist, like a legit one, like real deal. Like you don't invite him to Thanksgiving dinner. Conspiracy theorist. He's the author of 2 books. You want to know what they are? The telekinetic powers of the Loch Ness Monster, and the true source. And the true energy source of UFOs.
His third one is this book, apparently the truth.
This is his third one. So honestly, this is like a really good window on like the world in which this takes place in, because people like Gary McGolden are the ones that are saying, "Nah, man, Shadow Moses is fucking wild up there, man.
It's a cover-up.
You don't know what's going on up there, man. They got giant robots and shit. I've seen them."
Trust me, okay? Trust me. And he's also very much someone who's like, yeah, look, it's a government cover-up. They're also covering up the aliens. The Greys. Have you heard of the Greys?
Yeah, hell yeah, man. I heard that Shadow Moses Island, it was like Ellis Island for the Greys, you know. They hide among us, but they gotta go to Shadow Moses first.
Doesn't he actually say that?
Yeah.
He
actually says that.
Gary, I believe his conspiracy beliefs began when he was abducted by a passing UFO. So the first passage of this book, it's him kind of like looking in a mirror, and he is like looking at the hole that's behind his ear. He's like, yeah, that's the pinprick size hole they left when they took me. He's like, I'll never forget the Greys.
Yeah, it's a true story.
It's a true story. To aid in these beliefs, only add to them, he receives a letter in the mail. I imagine it's like a manila envelope. And in it, he believes it's a letter bomb.
Of course.
He shakes it. He's like, I don't hear any ticking, but it has to be a bomb. And he opens it upside down, because that's going to help him, onto his leftover pizza. And out falls a disc. And on this disc is Nastasha's book. Also in the envelope is a letter that says, look, see what you can make of this. I'm ready for your comeback. It's the editor-in-chief of Mega Surprise magazine, Max Smithson, who's apparently an old friend. So, I mean, I think to start off, you have an old friend sending you a letter.
Cool.
You're like, okay.
That's sweet.
I trust you. Let me see what this is about. The disc itself is encrypted. So he goes to his neighbor's house and asks for help. And he doesn't really ask him for help, though. He
kind of demands help.
He like barges in.
This guy kind of sounds like I mean, honestly, it's par for the course in New York. Yeah, I've heard of people like Gary before. Like he's just like one rando neighbor. So he goes into his neighbor's house, and his neighbor is able to
like this is encrypted. He's able to like
decrypt the data. So when his neighbor is finally able to show what's on the disc, it's Natasha's book. Mm-hmm. And it's the first time it's ever been released. This whole expose is about the discovery of it. So this is him.
No, that's a good point to think about that, because for the book review by George Franklin, it's readily available, but he had to get it. He had to go through the encryption.
Yeah.
So it was a very secretive document. Okay.
So when he opens this up, he learns pretty much all of the secrets of Shadow Moses. He learns every little nook and cranny. He more or less knows exactly what Natasha knew, what Solid Snake knew. It's just a regular average Joe. So we learn that at the time, the American public knew that Jim Houseman, the national security advisor, that he was aboard a E3C Airwax, which stands for Airborne Warning and Control System, and it was deployed to Fox Island after the USS Discovery, an Ohio ballistic missile submarine, and eventually these like stealth bombers
Could come out after.
They just came out after, and people were like, "That was weird."
Huh?
What happened?
I love that though, because like we're hearing the specifics of what the American public knows, and then we hear the American public, which is like, yeah, insurrection, don't worry about it, not insurrection, terrorist attack, whatever.
It's nothing.
Yeah, but it's like a lot of shit popped off. You had Jim Houseman, he went somewhere with, like you said, the Nighthawks are a serious business too.
Yeah, they are stealth bombers, and they were fully loaded. Like they had a full payload.
Yeah, like it was
6 of them.
So I feel like that just only added to like the general public beginning up their conspiracies. And what's our man's name? Gary McGolden he got the answer right here.
He's on the case.
So of course Gary reads through all of this at his neighbor's house, on his neighbor's computer, and he's like, I need to look. Who is Nastasha? I need to look her up. And there's actually some information of her on the internet. I wonder if it's Web 1.0 websites or 2.0. Right? Like,
ooh. What's the difference between Web 1.0 and 2.0?
Oh my god, Web 1.0 is like basically just looks like HTML. Like Web 1.0. I'm showing T right now. Oh look, it's a website.
Perfect.
With no picture. I want pictures. I want pictures. You know what, T? I will show you later.
Oh, this can kind of go up. That can kind of work. So like, okay, so Web 1.0 is more or less like your NBC, your MSN, Yahoo.
Like think about the first time you had like dial-up and you went on the internet and like all the new websites were just like links, no pictures. You want to read something, you click that link and it brought you to another page that just had text.
I see.
And from what I understand, Web 2.0 is like you're getting some images. You're getting
social media.
You're getting videos. So like Web 1.0, it's strictly just like data, actual text. Web 2.0 is an addition of like media.
High-speed apps, mobile access, user-generated content. And, we're up to 3.0 now.
Yeah, so like VR, AR.
Yeah, VR, blockchains, that bullshit. Anyway.
So yeah, I think briefly just wondered what, what he was looking at.
Maybe 2?
You think so?
Yeah, maybe 2. I would say 2.0.
2.0. But interesting enough, there's information on Nastasha, and he learns that she was with the Defense Intelligence Agency, and during Shadow Moses, she was a freelance military analyst, and she was part of Snake's NEST team, his nuclear emergency search team, which I don't know. I've never
heard of that outside of this document.
But you know what this makes me think though? If he was able to see, and he said from his internet search that she was a freelance military analyst during Shadow Moses, that means that he read someone else's account of this book, no?
Well, that could just mean that she was it could just be open information that she's a military analyst. And then it's like, okay, what was she doing in 05? Oh, she was doing this for this agency.
Okay.
It doesn't necessarily link her to Shadow Moses.
You see the way my mind is working right now? My mind is...
No, I appreciate it. That's the mark of like a real Metal Gear fan.
I'm just seeing connections where there shouldn't be any at all. But Gary also learns that she has a very strong anti-nuclear stance. And he states that explicitly. So I think it's interesting to know, maybe he personally feels like her book is skewed, or maybe she's writing this with a clear intention.
Yeah, sometimes he thinks that she could be a some sort of like aspiring screenwriter.
He's like, either she really believes this or she's just like really great at writing movies because this is fantastical.
Mm-hmm.
The book that Nastasha writes actually has a publisher, and it's called Global Elements Inc. I googled it. There's nothing.
Damn it.
Gary calls to ask about Natasha, but they hang up on him.
Well, to be fair, he literally calls, and this is legit his quote, according to him. He says to them, "Hello, listen, you leftover carnival prize. What do you know about a woman named Nastasha Romanenko?"
They respond, and they say,
"Hey, your village called. They want their idiot back. And watch your language, freak." And then they hang up on him.
and he's like, they must be hiding something.
It's like, dude, you were very rude.
Yeah, why did he call like that?
I think, okay. One, I think he's just socially inept.
Okay.
And two, on a meta thing, I think it's like he thinks he thinks of himself as like those like gumshoe detectives where like I'm gonna figure out what's going on. Listen here, you're gonna tell me where Nastasha is. You're gonna tell me right now. And then somebody on the other end of the line who's a normal person going like, who the fuck are you? Get away from me.
But to him, that's the hanging up is reason enough for him to begin his journey.
Dude, you just had to be a little bit more nicer.
I think your explanation is my canon now. Because I think he really sees himself as like this really investigatory journalist.
Oh, hell yeah. He thinks he's like, I bet you, look, I'm not discrediting his past works. This dude wrote 2 books. I wrote none. So he has done something. But I think he really believes that he's like, I'm going to go out there in the middle of a war zone and I'll show them all. I'm the real deal. I'm the real guy. I'm going to do it. And in reality, he's just some dude in a studio apartment. And you know what?
Barging into his neighbor's house and pushing the neighbor out the way to use his computer.
Yeah.
Just, yeah. I think you read the fuck out of him right now. I really think you did. To even add more to Mr. McGolden's character, he ventures to shadow Moses himself. This man, I feel like I envision him in New York. I don't think they say where he's at. But
I think he is in New York. Yeah.
Okay. He goes to Alaska. This man is like, I need to find out. I need to go. I'm going to go to Alaska. And you know what? I got my cousin and he's going to help me. His cousin, his name is John D. And he's an Alaskan big tuna fisherman. He's like, John D, you and me, baby. We're going out there.
John D's like, nah, man.
Like, nah. And honestly, John D's a little bit scared, too.
I mean, yeah, because he's the local. He tries to convince, what's his name, George?
Gary.
Gary McGolden, our man. He's trying to convince him that it's like, dude, you do not want to do this. A lot of the fishermen, they get too close, and then some of them get like detained. So,
yeah, there's actually a military like presence at these Fox Islands, right?
Yeah, he's like, dude, please, this is not a joke. Okay, they're gonna mess you up if you mess with them.
No, he was really like planning to like Naruto run in there.
Like, he was literally like, he would have been that guy to actually Naruto run. He would have done it.
Mr. Gary McGolden's plan. Do you want to say it or I do? Because I don't know if I can keep a straight face when I say this.
Yeah, I got you. So this was Gary McGolden's genius plan. Okay, so we mentioned before that his cousin was an Alaskan tuna fisherman, right? So for those who don't know, tuna is actually massive.
I had no idea.
Yeah, they're like a huge fish. They're like, they can go up to 10 feet in length. So he hollows one out. It's basically just like an empty tuna. And he goes inside of it and he puts a whole bunch of air balloons in there. Right? Yeah. And then he has an oil lamp. Perfect.
Think about how big this tuna is.
Think of the smell for a second. Think of the smell. So
this is for the truth.
Yeah, it's for the truth. So his plan is to get inside of the tuna and more or less doggy paddle his way into Shadow Moses.
How long of a journey will this be, T?
This is 20 miles.
He's just there with his hot air balloon. No, not even hot air balloons. Because he put them in the tuna. So I imagine they're little balloons. So it's him, the balloons, and a hot oil lamp, and he's just doggy paddling.
20 miles.
Also,
That's insane.
Also, I'm just thinking about the visual of like a tuna that's just like above the water, just moving slowly. Like any soldier would be like, that tuna is.
Who the hell?
Yeah, who is that? That's not a tuna.
That's clearly a man inside of a fish.
I've done that once before. I know what that is.
I've seen that fish trick once before.
It won't get me again. But he actually makes it.
Surprisingly so. He makes it onto the island. And
thanks to the tuna.
Thanks to that tuna.
It honestly, and I think John D. So John D. had like drove him as close as he could. And then Gary hops out, swims out, and then, traverses.
Does his little thing.
Throughout this book, it's kind of spliced in the way of we get like a flashback, present day flashback. So while he's like talking to John D and hollowing out the tuna and talking about his plan, he's also summarizing his own findings from Nastasha's book.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, one thing that he does is he actually describes Metal Gear and its full capabilities. Like he knows the exact details of this mech. This weirdo tuna fanatic like knows how Metal Gear operates. Yeah.
And to put it in real world terms, imagine if
like your worst uncle,
or you know what, to be even charitable, just you.
You're your worst uncle.
I am my own worst uncle. But like, let's say like you just happen to know the passcode to get into the vault of Fort Knox. If everybody knows that passcode, what's the point of having it now?
Yeah, it's not as... Maybe we all shouldn't have that. Maybe there's certain things we should not know.
Yeah. It's like we know the exact what's the word I'm looking for? We know the exact capabilities of Metal Gear Rex. And we shouldn't know that.
Yeah, and then think about the people who shouldn't know how Metal Gear Rex operates. Now it's essentially in their hands.
Mm-hmm.
And he really, it's a couple pages of like describing the ballistics, how it operates, the way that its ability to not be picked up on like sonar and radar. Like Nastasha does not leave anything left to the imagination.
No, not at all.
On that note, she also speaks of Foxdie and that the Pentagon was behind it. She speaks of Les Enfants Terribles.
Mm-hmm.
And lastly, she speaks about, because he references this himself, he references a mysterious group. One whose authority outstrips even that of the President of the United States. Essentially, he's made aware that they're the ones that actually stopped the nuclear strike. Remember, like, in Metal Gear Solid 1, Jim Houseman was...
Jim Houseman was revealed to be the main... Well, not the big bad, but the guy behind the operation and wanting to bomb Shadow Moses at the end of the game. We're told that the president stepped in last second and stopped the launch. Turns out it wasn't the president. It was the Patriots.
And so I don't think Gary knows them by name, but he knows that there's a mysterious group who's kind of, much more powerful than the American government. So think about this. This man in this big tuna carcass
knows actual shit. Like, it's funny because a guy like Gary, if he told you this, you would just say, okay, Gary, that's just another one of your things. But this time he's literally right. He's 100% right.
And then think about when you hear about conspiracy theories, or like I have like people I follow on TikTok who it's a guilty thing I do.
That guy that stared into the solar eclipse.
You have people who are big conspiracy theorists, and they're often like broken clocks. Sometimes they'll say something and you're like,
Interesting.
let me Google that.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like for Gary to be this person who's talking about the Greys and aliens and to talk about this, maybe one day you're like, let me Google Metal Gear. I don't know. It piques your interest.
All it takes is for Gary to influence one person to look it up, because that is what starts that snowball effect. Like one person will look it up, they talk about it to a friend, they mention it online, and then more people look it up, and then it'll just multiply and multiply and multiply it, and then everyone will know what Metal Gear is.
It's almost ingenious the fact that like Gary was given this disc because it's almost like hidden in plain sight. You have someone who's spouting all this nonsense about other conspiracy theories, but intermixed is the actual truth. So like you have someone who's both ignored by maybe the general public, he won't be censored as easily, and so people can like, if he has a website, intermixed is military, very military secrets and like knowledge, so I think he's the best person to get this disc.
Oddly enough, this is the guy for the job.
Where is he now? I
don't know.
Um,
Oh, yes. Well, towards the end of the book, his cousin John D is captured.
no way.
Gary finds him. He when he lands on Shadow Moses, he's like, Gary, and Gary's like, who the hell's calling my name? And he turns over, and it's his cousin.
And he's like tied up to a pole.
Yeah, and he's like, John, how'd you get here? What happened? He's like, they captured me right after you left the boat.
It was like this black helicopter just came out of nowhere.
And people started opening fire.
On the two of them?
And he was like, I gotta get out of here. Gary was like, I gotta get the fuck out of here.
And John's like, Gary, please help me. And Gary goes,
don't call me Gary. I'm just a tuna.
And he runs. And he leaves his cousin in that, I imagine the courtyard, wherever. He leaves him. And he runs away, still in the tuna carcass.
He's probably dead. His cousin's probably dead.
His cousin's gone. And all his cousin did was just drive the boat to get him there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Gary, I think for Gary, the truth, he has a mission to get the truth. And if a cousin gets shot in the meantime, a cousin gets shot.
God damn.
So I think his main thing, he expected to kind of unveil some kind of secret at Shadow Moses. I don't think he really unveils anything. He doesn't find any like ruin or artifact there. But what does happen is that he gets captured himself, which I think is kind of like it kind of makes his mission successful because he realizes they've captured me for a reason.
Exactly. Also, the location where he got captured, I feel like it's a nice little wink and a nod to Metal Gear Solid, where he mentions that he's running up a staircase that is more or less a spiral staircase that goes up forever, and he reaches a rooftop where a helicopter finds him. And that's the events of Metal Gear Solid, where Solid Snake runs up the communications tower, and up the top is Liquid in the Hind D. So it's almost kind of like he's following in Snake's footsteps in some weird way.
That's kind of cool. That is kind of cool. I didn't think about that.
It's a little nod.
I mean, he gets captured. Hopefully he gets saved by Solid Snake. I mean, he gets captured, and they're immediately questioning him about this disc he has. Mm-hmm. So to him, he's like, I got it. And he's like talking back to them. He's like, I think he says, oh, are you part of that secret shadowy government? Secretly shadowy part of the American government. And apparently that makes them super angry. He's like, I knew it.
Yeah, I got him. I'm here.
And he then soon realizes that they're gonna kill him. Like he's like, I forgot what he says, but essentially, like he's at a point where he's like, okay, they're super angry. This is it. And he hears, I think, a window break or a shot ring out, and he's like, oh shit. But then he hears another shot, and then everything gets quiet. And then he slowly hears someone undoing, I think, the restraints on him.
Yeah.
And then he hears someone ruffling behind them to remove. He had a bag over his head.
Uh-huh.
He hears someone going to remove the bag over his head. And he's like, who is this? They remove the bag. He's so scared. He turns around and no one's there.
Terrifying.
Honestly, a little bit terrifying.
Oh, and then you forget one thing. He looks down, and in his pocket is multiple copies of the same disc.
He says there's so many copies that were put into his pocket that the seam of the pocket is ripping. It's becoming distorted because so much was stuffed in there. So whoever saved him essentially wants him to get the truth out there.
Yep.
And whoever was capturing him wanted to, I guess, stop him from finding the truth.
Wow.
Our man goes back to New York.
I would too. I would think that my role is done here.
Mm-hmm. So he goes back to New York and he essentially just starts writing.
He starts writing on an antique typewriter. Maybe because of his experience, and after reading Natasha's book, he's like, you know what, I'm gonna go old school. When he gets back, he comes to find out that his neighbor's gone. Interesting.
The neighbor who like de-encrypted the disk, who like basically broke through the encryption.
Gone.
Cousin is also gone, I guess.
Cousin's also gone. We come to learn that the very manuscript that we're reading is what he's writing right now on this typewriter.
Yeah, because we come to an editor's note, right?
Yeah. And it more or less ends with Gary going like, the truth is out there. No.
Find it for yourself.
Yeah, that sort of deal. You turn the page and there's an editor's note from, what was his name? Max Smithson?
Wait, yeah, let's go back to it. Forgive us.
Yeah, Max Smithson.
Mm-hmm.
And Max was like, Gary just disappeared. We don't know where he is. So we published his work and it was really cool. But we would just also like to add that we never sent that disc to him in the first place. We don't know what he's talking about there.
And that's it. We literally, that's the last we hear of Gary. This is basically his last remaining document. He's gone. And Max Smithson apparently just felt it was good enough to publish. And I'm thinking it's probably around the same time as the book review, like this whole giant interest in Nastasha's book.
Oh yeah, I mean this is what got the ball rolling in the first place. So this must have been, if the column came out in 2007, this, I would guess maybe 2006, maybe this happened in 2006.
That's a good point. Yeah, no. This piece of work by Gary McGolden is fantastic. We didn't even touch on like all the little jokes in there. Like there's one, there's like a running gag that happens.
Yeah, there's this running gag that he has with peanut butter, and it doesn't make any sense. And maybe that's the point. But as you're reading this thing, Gary has like this weird fixation with peanut butter. Like he eats it all the time.
He had it in his hand when he first got the disc at the beginning. He brings it with him to Shadow Moses, right?
Yeah, he has like a flask that is a concoction of bourbon and peanut butter. We come to learn that he calls peanut butter his Waterloo, and that he hates it so much, and he's on a mission to eat all of it.
Yeah, apparently when he was a kid, he didn't like peanut butter, and I think he was just trying to like get over his dislike of it, and he just ate it enough to hate it. It's like he just made it worse for himself, and now he's just, I think,
his personal quest is to eat all the peanut butter in the world.
So I feel like it went from a dislike to just like my mission is to eradicate the world of peanut butter, and so it's just like it's just a gag in between the story. If anyone knows a connection, please let us know, because I'm finding connections where things don't.
Yeah, you want to share your connection here?
I have is it a conspiracy theory? I have a theory about a section in this book. So again, we have this whole peanut butter gag, right? And so at one point he's explaining the origin of like why he hates peanut butter and why he eats it all the time and why he's mentioning it. And I feel like it was a build up to this one line. He begins singing with the Whitney Houston song, and I will always love you, but he replaces it because he's talking about peanut butter. He goes, and I will always hate you. Like he it's kind of spelled out phonetically as if you're singing it.
Uh-huh.
The way he's writing those lyrics out, I swear it looks similar to like spelling out the la li lu le lo. Is this a nod to the la? Was it the la li lu le lo? Like is he trying to like say it but he can't say it because he'll get sent like. I'm telling you, it's a small paragraph and it means like it's so insignificant. But I'm seeing the forest through the trees, like whatever the phrase is. I'm seeing.
My third eye's open.
I'm woke right now. I'm so woke.
I don't know if
Thomas trying to be so nice to me right now. I'm patient.
Okay, look, listen.
He closed his eyes and he was like, you know, Crystal, like I could.
Listen here, Gary. No, I don't.
You don't have. It's okay.
No, listen.
It's okay.
No, I'm being honest here. I don't see it, but I'm not like the final say. I don't know.
See, and this is get somebody on your team like T, who is very patient and kind with you, because this is your build up to be like, please stop.
No, I am.
Kay, it's enough.
I am professionally wrong, all the time. I'm willing to admit, I could be wrong here. I don't see it. I don't see it, but
everybody read it and let me know.
Yeah, let us know. Tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if Kay's wrong. I don't know.
But this is how my mind is working after like playing Metal Gear Solid 2, then reading Gary's book specifically. After reading his book specifically, I was like, is that a nod to the secret group? Anyway, I love this. This was fun. I'm not gonna lie.
This was really well written. Like, I wish that this was referenced more widely in the community. Like, imagine all like the cute little fun artwork you could have with like a guy hiding in a tuna holding a jar of peanut butter. And
then that's a Metal Gear reference. Like, what are we talking about?
Come on. What do we do? Guys.
Who do we need to commission to get that? Just this... or like have it be a solid snake and a big tuna with like...
yeah.
You know? It's... I feel like to your point of kind of like understanding the world in which Metal Gear Solid 2 exists, these are just Gary McGolden and George Franklin are just two regular people living their life. And what was plopped in their lap was a government cover-up, now exposed.
And it just thrust their lives into a whole new direction that they had no idea that it was going to go.
It is an interesting story. It piques your interest, and I think it leads to just the general public asking more questions. Because it's not going to end here. Well, I mean, we don't know where Gary disappeared.
Yeah.
But for George Franklin, maybe he's gonna be a little bit more privy to like questioning things, or like if the government releases a statement, maybe he's like, I remember what you guys did with Shadow Moses. I don't know.
Yeah, it gets people to question things, and the government doesn't like questions. They want you to be sheep. They want you to just go to work and go home. They want you to pay taxes and then be obedient. You see, that's how Gary is.
That's how Gary is.
That's how Gary is, not me. I am well mannered.
Yay!
Hooray.
We're good.
We're okay.
We're gonna end this podcast, and we're gonna be fine.
You know, there are, especially during 2, when we were doing 101s for Metal Gear Solid 2, there were times when we ended a podcast, and I was like, yeah, I sounded like a straight up conspiracy theorist.
I feel like our neighbors are like, did you guys hear them yelling?
Yeah, there's people on the other side of these walls that are like, oh god, they're at it again.
People like, who's the fuck is Gary McGolden?
We gotta look him up. He doesn't exist.
What the fuck are they talking about?
What the fuck are they doing over there?
But please, if you have the ability, read the game FAQ that we put in the description of this episode. You can read it for yourself. I think it's it's cute to like see what else you can find in the game. There's other little special things you can do. For example, like a theater in Metal Gear Solid 2.
Oh, the secret theater is so much fun. There are a certain selection of cutscenes that you could put different characters in. So, for example, you could have Snake and Otacon fight on top of Federal Hall. It's cute, you know?
So, like, if you haven't been there, go check it out. But honestly, these two, I think it just adds to kind of the world of Metal Gear Solid 2. And I think if you read these before, I feel like you should read them after. I feel like before, it would have already made you a little bit more kind of like privy to the conspiracies. And maybe you would have went into Metal Gear Solid 2 a little bit more like questioning.
Yeah.
As opposed to just going in blind and being like, what the fuck is
What's
going on?
here?
You know?
Yeah.
So I feel like I hope if you haven't read it before, please read it. I think it's a beautiful addition to the series. And I'm excited to read Nastasha's book because we have Nastasha's book is there.
It is. Once you fully read Gary's manuscript, In the Darkness of Shadow Moses is ready to be read right there. And I think that's pretty cool.
And that will be the topic of our next episode.
That will be the topic. We are doing a book review on Natasha's book. And we have homework. Yes, we have homework for everyone here. We would like you to also read it.
Please.
Please read this conspiracy stuff with us.
And I think what's cool, I mean, it's a little lengthy. It's a little lengthy. But if you have any book club questions that you want to send us, it's tknm@gmail.com. Maybe we'll include them.
Yeah, if you have book club questions or even like your own review, if you want to chip in and like read In the Darkness of Shadow Moses and you're like, here are my thoughts. We'll gladly read them on air.
Ooh, on air.
That'd be cool.
So official.
I know.
No, that'd be really fun. But we're gonna end it here. I mean, two great little excerpts. Thank you all for joining us again. We look forward to our next 201 episode. We're getting closer and closer to Metal Gear Solid Con. We gotta make some more stickers.
We do.
We don't have merch, but we're thinking of getting our making shirts for ourselves, just so like we can have it at the con.
Yeah, we're not too egotistical yet to have merch. I
don't think it's egotistical.
No.
You feel egotistical.
Let me rephrase that. I feel egotistical. I'm not used to putting myself out there like.
It's not egotistical to have merch, and you're
it's
not. And you're not egotistical to me.
And let me rephrase in also saying that I feel that like, and I'm probably very wrong, that people need to have a larger thing to have merch. And when I mean people, I mean me, because that's not how I feel with other people.
Isn't that some shit?
Yeah.
You hold all these standards for yourself that you don't hold for anyone else.
Ain't that some shit? Anyway, we're printing out stickers and we're making shirts for ourselves, just for us. So don't bother asking.
No, you can ask if you want.
You can ask if I don't know, maybe down the line. We'll see.
We'll have stickers, and for Metal Gear Solid Con, we'll actually give some out. We'll make some. That'd be cool. We got some in our suitcases already. Anyway, cool.
It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Anyway, T, anything else you want to say to end this episode?
I don't know. Have fun reading The Conspiracy. Don't forget, female custodies are okay.
Female custodies are okay. Fallout's okay.
Fallout's great.
But yeah, thank you for listening. If you made it this far, we'll be back in 2 weeks with our book club of In the Darkness of Shadow Moses, The Unofficial Truth by Nastasha Romanenko.
How fun is that going to be? We're going to have a little book club.
It's going to be super cute. Everyone, take care of yourselves. Enjoy. T, thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll see you all next time. Goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody.